well with the group that the pair soon attempted to join their guild. Despite their initial application being rejected, the duo saw a chance to prove their worth when the Rising Phoenix went to war against ShLt. The Austrian team emerged as the Rising Phoenix's most valuable asset on the battlefield, giving the guild all the reason they needed to welcome Zamp and Flavian into their ranks. Shortly after the war, ShLt left Antica for Amara, but not before planting a seed of doubt in Zamp's mind.
I got to banter a bit with Novak, but something felt off to me. Why was I having more fun talking to my enemy than to my own guildmates? It bugged me for a while before I realized that they were genuine, not wearing some robotic role-playing mask while interacting with you.
While increasing his hunting efforts, Zamp crossed paths with a formidable paladin who was too controversial even for the Rising Phoenix to take in. Zamp and Claxton shared a dislike for the Alliance and bonded to the point where they decided to swap accounts for their amusement. Once Zamp felt Claxton's power, he wanted nothing but to focus both their efforts on taking the character to even greater heights. The rules against account sharing did not stop them. Claxton became one of the only outsiders to rival the best of the Alliance in both skill and level, making him a symbol of defiance for those who felt oppressed by Alliance guilds. Weaker players could count on him and his company to back them, even if their prejudice against the Alliance could sometimes cloud their judgment.
I didn't like the followers of the White Dragon because of their power abuse on Edron, and their Alliance friends like Pepelu who abused their GM character for in-game gains. Their holier-than-holy image just didn't add up if you had more than superficial interactions with them. We took several players who were struggling with power abuse by strong guilds under our protection, and sometimes blindly so, even if said players were in the wrong. I think it's fair to say that I was on a power trip at that time and felt invincible. I contested every hunting spot I desired to go to, and if someone disagreed to leave, I would hit them with a powerbolt plus SD combo for a big chunk of his HP no matter the guild. If I was playing on Zamp and someone would harass me, I'd log in on Claxton to deal with him. I was basically an asshole with a heart for the underdog, because I knew what it was like to be one.
I mean, they were the new upcoming players and we were the establishment. Or at least Mercs and Red Rose and Followers of the White Dragon kinda too, and we were the enemies because we were fighting for justice and trying to prevent PKing or avenge PKing and give back the stuff. And they just wanted to have fun and do whatever they wanted. At least that's how I see it.
Meanwhile, the Rising Phoenix was growing in size and strength. It was no secret that its best players, whose temper had already earned them notoriety, were close to Claxton and his cause against the Alliance. Although Bear shared much of their frustration, he did his best to keep his soldiers under control, as he did not believe his guild was ready to face the Alliance's combined power. He found this to be more difficult by the day. When Red Rose and mercenary leaders demanded answers for the death of two neutral players, Mortor justified their attack with a story, but Wei Yun discovered it to be a fabrication to protect his friends. After the attack was confirmed to be unjustified, both Mortor and Flavian were kicked from the Rising Phoenix, though Mortor was given a second chance after returning the victim's loot. By this time, Claxton had gained a considerable following, and after the incident in the Hero Cave, Zamp voluntarily left the Rising Phoenix to join him and Flavian in uniting these people as Chirand, a guild free of restrictions that welcomed many of the outcasts considered too troublesome even by the Rising Phoenix. Chiran openly voiced their dislike of the alliance, and even approached both the Rising Phoenix and the Black Dragons to unite against the followers of the White Dragon. While both guilds officially declined Chiran's proposal, certain members of the Rising Phoenix did assist Chiran in several fights. This collaboration caused growing concerns for the followers of the White Dragon.
Yeah, I remember there were quite some problems. Some of our members got into quarrels with them, or they killed someone. And when I went to investigate what actually happened, wasn't easy sometimes to get to know what actually did happen. But yeah, they caused, or at least some of them caused problems, and it was kind of obvious that they were a little bit younger. Yeah, so don't know. Maybe we wanted to play some more action game. Possibly a shooter would have been preferable. But okay, they choose Tibia. But yeah, there were problems and tensions just started growing. So at some point we sat together and discussed what we could do.
Hopes for a peaceful resolution shrunk with each incident, though neither side publicly declared war on the other. While Chiran did not want to risk a war without the help of the Rising Phoenix, the followers of the White Dragon was careful not to offer the Rising Phoenix a reason to side with Chiran. Despite growing pressure, Bear refused to go to war and chose to de-escalate each situation for as long as he could. It was a strategy tearing up the Rising Phoenix from within. When a mercenary broke up a duel by attacking one of the assailants, Claxton and his company rushed to defend the target. As Kai Hansen called his friends for backup, the confrontation escalated into a full-blown battle. By the time Flattery and Tekvorian were able to call back their members from the chaos, 5 Alliance members had been slain. In the eyes of Claxton's party, the line had been crossed. Both the mercenaries and the followers had overstepped their boundaries by violently interrupting a personal matter, giving the Rising Phoenix their long-awaited reason to take a side. Or so they thought. Within a day of the attack, the followers acknowledged their mistake and demoted the members involved. The mercenaries left the situation alone, and Flattery even stepped in to save Mortor from automatic banishment after he killed too many low levels on the battlefield, arguing that anyone who spectated the fight did so at their own risk. It stopped Bear from declaring war once more. But for Zamp, this was the last straw. If neither the Rising Phoenix nor the Black Dragons had their backs, he and his team would fight their own battle. Overnight, Bear lost his entire fighting division to a new guild prepared in secret by Zamp and Claxton, and anyone who had a score to settle with the Alliance was encouraged to join. These were the last action heroes.
So the Black Dragons didn't really want us to join. They didn't want to join the war. But I guess it was more or less, I had the friends in LH, like Claxton, and we usually sit at his house and play. That was more or less the reason behind it. It was my friends that was in the guild, and I wanted to join. I thought I had a powerful character, and maybe we could do a difference in that war. So it was because of friends at the end.
Bear was left bitter with the deserters. The Rising Phoenix was no longer a suspect in the eyes of the Alliance, but it had cost them all their firepower. With the help of a young diplomat, the guild stepped away from the spotlight to reorganize as the server responded to recent developments.
We have no intention to attack the guild LAH as long as they don't force us to this by, for example, attacking our members. And we surely don't plan to give Bar a backup. This is plainly not true.
No attacks against FWD, even if they attack Charande or LAH members during a battle. Don't call them any bad words. Just say, this non-provocated attack on a LAH member will have consequences. It will be a pleasure for the LAH leadership to demand lots of cash from FWD for such an attack. And if they don't pay this sum, we finally have the reason to announce war against FWD. Then we crush them, and no one helps them.
All eyes were now on the Last Action Heroes. The idea of one guild risking a war against the entire server seemed like a suicide mission, and Antica's citizens wondered if they were indeed willing to take it that far. Within 2 months, they would get their answer. Valheru, an alliance guild, had already clashed with Friends of Claxton several times in the past. So when another dispute involving a Last Action hero broke out, the situation quickly spiraled into chaos. Flattery, a leader of the mercenaries, arrived on the scene when the Last Action heroes had trapped several Valheru members. Despite the mercenaries having no stake in the conflict, Flattery quickly intervened, freeing 2 trapped Valheru members. The Last Action heroes were furious and demanded 120,000 gold on the spot for his wrongful intervention. Flattery, not having the money at hand, offered his life instead, resulting in the senior game master and respected leader of the mercenaries being mockingly executed.
I did not want us to go alone in a war at a point of time we didn't choose. That's why I solved it this way. Now we have time to find alliances and strike back at a time we choose.
A week ago, Zamp attacked Kai. We only warned him. They dared today to execute our beloved Ashak and laughed when they were killing him. It's too much. LAH are making reinforcements too, so I'm sure they know they found the war they were looking for. This war will not stop until we really crush our enemies. Hail to the Mercs. Our unity is our strength to victory.
That night, Soy Madrid Pa stayed online until the sun came up. He set up an emergency meeting for the very next evening, inviting representatives from all over Antica to decide on the Last Action heroes. The support of war was tremendous, though Satori remained neutral after standing alone in the fight against Hokuton. Stormlord, on the grace of old friendships, was the only member allowed to speak for his guild, and might have won them another chance, if Zamp had not logged in on Claxton that night.
At that time, I was a 15-year-old kid, full of hormones. It could have worked out differently if I understood the tough spot they were in at that time, but sadly, I didn't. So after Stormlord and Warwick's informed me that they were having negotiations, I didn't like that very much, that my destiny was being talked about as if I'm some kind of property to someone. I made my way to Fibula and asked them to let me through, which they negated, So I shot a single SD on Cyrus Blackheart as a sign that I won't take no for an answer. To this day, I am not sure what that was all about. It's not like I would have gone there and killed everyone for no reason.
After his assault on the meeting, Claxton was killed, and the Alliance officially declared war on the Last Action heroes.
I can say the first day of the LAH war was the most fun. Me, Nobemel, and Proxy jumped out, did UE combos, and killed a lot of people, and Pepper ended up in Temple, dying 2 times because of a bug, and he lost his golden helmet and great shield.
The Alliance won the day, if only by the size of their army. As the scope of this conflict was entirely new to the game, both teams had a lot to learn through strategic mistakes. Given that voice servers had not yet become mainstream technology, communication also proved to be a challenge. The complexities of PvP were further increased by the absence of hotkeys and many more of Tibia's modern conventions. As a result, players skilled in combat were a rare and intimidating presence. In the following battles, it became evident that the Last Action heroes, despite being significantly outnumbered, had the upper hand when it came to PvP experience. The Alliance suffered a dangerous amount of casualties.
In La War, La had fewer interrupters but with a stronger firepower. And we had bigger losses in the full first week of that war. I remember the triple UE trap in ties that killed 10 aliens at once. One of them was my brother. Most of us, the soldiers on the first war, we initially saw that war as lost, since they have a stronger firepower than we had. But people in the Alliance started to think and act. Someone thought that the communication between our guilds was failing and suggested creating a single guild for better coordination and communication.
Through trial and error, the Alliance grew accustomed to battle and managed to push back against the Last Action heroes.
We found sometimes some guys were giving us 10 or 20 backpacks of ultimate healing runes. And they were like, I'm not a fighter, or I don't feel confident or strong enough, but here you go. Here you have some resources.
At this time, the Amulet of Life was still in place, so a death didn't cost you any losses except a new Amulet of Life. So mostly the war was a problem of money. So if you had enough money, you could fight endlessly.
With LAH in the beginning, there was a lot of people that joined because they thought it was cool to join. They fought once, then they prioritized who get AOL, who didn't. We had Mortar and Varax. They had money, so there was no problem. They had a stack in Mortar's room, and he had a lot of stuff.
Thanks to a steady supply of Amulets of Life, many fighters saw the war as an exciting experience and held no particularly personal grudge towards their enemy. Despite their tarnished reputation, most of the Last Action heroes had been part of the community one way or another, showing that even though Tibia was only a year away from entering the mainstream gaming scene, it was still a small world for the time being. The culture of the time is perhaps best demonstrated by Tibia's final official convention, which, in the midst of a war, brought together friends and foes alike. By the time the players returned to their computers, much of the initial excitement about the war had faded, and a growing number of Alliance players in particular were ready to move on. Despite fierce attacks, the Alliance proved too big to be defeated, and with their summer break coming to an end, the momentum of the Last Action heroes reached a halt. Any remaining hope for victory was diminished by the loss of several key players. Stormlord left for military duty, while the brothers Warax and Mortor were deleted, buying and exploiting a Game Master character. Finally, Zamp and Claxton's reign came to an end after a critical hack of Tibia's servers.
When the big Tibia hack happened, Cipsoft made a portal on their webpage to reclaim your account by typing in what kind of gear you had. I immediately wrote them an email saying that it was not a good idea and that it was prone to abuse. They ignored it and left the portal up, so I targeted Pepelu and recovered his account with Cipsoft's help. I cleaned his house and parceled everything to my character. I made a sorcerer named Alomahar, where I funneled the resources gained from Pepelu's stuff to power level. Since Alomahar was a character on Claxton's account, both mine and Claxton's accounts got deleted. It was a scummy move in hindsight, especially with it leading to Claxton losing his account in the process.
With the creation of the Alliance Guild and the new tactics and leadings of our battle leaders Pepelu and Half-Hive, we won a war that we had lost in the beginning.
The Last Action heroes had left their mark on Antica, but the price was steep. Now that its leaders were gone, the Guild's fate was in the hands of the Alliance leadership, who, to the dismay of some of its own soldiers, met behind closed doors to decide on their punishment.
After the war ended, I was furious with those political decisions most of the alliance leaders did not fight that war. They did not die in it, but they just let them go mostly for free.
So you are right. Many of the leaders didn't strongly fight the war. But, for example, in the case of the Mercs, I'm going to say flattery. So flattery was never a high level. But he had a lot of connections. He knew a lot of people. So it's not always about how strong you fight. There are other means of adding into the fight. That said, some people were dancing, let's say, on top of the war scenario. That's true as well. There were some players that you could say, this guy should be fighting here with me. He has the strength to be fighting here with me. But they were kind of avoiding the fight a little bit. Maybe afraid of dying. Maybe they were more friends to the other side and they found themselves on the side they didn't want to be 100% or whatever. Of course we knew.
The alliance was a mix of many guilds with different views. I mean, followers of the White Dragons was a kind of hardcore PK hunting guild, so I think we didn't want to let them go. But we were just one guild of 5, 6, so we had to find some common ground, and this was the result. Not the best in my opinion, but yeah, it was the thing we negotiated with the other guild leaders.
The Alliance eventually agreed to lower the financial penalty on the condition that no last action hero joined another guild for 6 months. They were forbidden from attacking any other player and, in practice, became almost entirely subordinate to Alliance guilds. Under these conditions, fierce resentment grew among the losing side. ...2004 would become the year that Tibia stepped into the world of mainstream gaming. Its available game worlds nearly tripled and still barely kept up with the influx of new players. Cipsoft, now a fully operational company, had come a long way since their university days. In terms of PvP, this year saw 2 significant changes. The Skull system was introduced, and the Amulet of Life was replaced, raising the stakes of death once more. These were only 2 of the many features catering to the popularity of both PvP and power gaming. Tibia's new generation was here for action. While many servers provided a clean slate for this generational shift, players who joined Antica were frequently reminded of its historical roots. After serving its purpose in the Last Action Heroes War, the Alliance disbanded and its soldiers returned to their respective guilds. These guilds continued to cooperate, and while never free of criticism, kept their server relatively peaceful for the better part of the year. Many of the Alliance's supporters saw its guild as the last keeper of traditional values, some of which would be sorely missed in Tibia's later years. Antica's population, however, was growing at an uncontrollable rate, and many of the players coming up in Tibia's new climate had no reason to follow the old diplomatic ways. As a result, the Alliance guilds had to rely on force instead of words more often than before, souring several people's opinions and driving players who might otherwise not have cared to their opponents. The server continued to polarize, and while a considerable number of people were looking to fight regardless of the reason, many of the established players in particular legitimately felt mistreated by Alliance guilds. Among them were the once considered outlaws of the last action hero war, some of whom had now grown to be nearly as powerful and popular as their old enemies. A trio of their most potent mages was gaining fame as the Citadelica.
Night Fang was initially a Hong Kong player. Night Fang duped stuff. Actually, I know it because I bought my first magic sword from him, so he must have duped it.
There was a guy in Helsingborg called Coronius. He was playing in Red Rose. He introduced the game for a lot of us people. Nurjin, yeah. He said he could get us a sorcerer, but it was hunted by the mercenaries, and it was only level 25. We had to fix it through Ashra, because Nurjin had a lot of connections. His parents were Timmy and Filippa. They know everyone in the game. We had to give a lot of promises though, so for a long time we were banned from Fibula and stuff like that. So him and I started leveling that character together. And one day he got tired and said like, oh, I'm not gonna play anymore and you have to pay me a sum to get it for yourself. So I did, I paid him and got the character and it was like 40, something like that. We had different kind of play styles. They were owning cities. Like, you can't do that, you can't do that in there. And yeah, I was young. I was like, I think I was 18 years old or something. So yeah, that was a problem at the start. Because when you're young and you're getting powerful, it's, I don't know. I couldn't join any guild because I had a bad rep. So no guild really wanted me. I was more like freelancing.
So I knew Kittel a long time before I knew Elland, because we had been hanging in the same place for years. And I think it's thanks to Tibia that I know the rest of the people. I joined Friends of Honor. I would later join Messiahs of Bedlam, but then I had this conflict because all of my friends in real life, the guys I were hanging out with, they were all on the other side in the guilds that would later become dark side. So there was this small transition towards changing sides because Messiahs of Bedlam would become an alliance member later on. I switched from Messiahs of Bedlam to the Rising Phoenix. And I remember when the LAH war broke out, I had Varex and Zamp contacting me because they knew I was friends with Kittel and Elland. And they were like, oh, I think it's time for you to switch sides. And I remember thinking, because I never had a good feeling about those guys. I remember thinking, no, these are the bad guys. And I didn't want to be a part of that kamikaze crew that was in the first war. By the time that war was going on, I remember at my place in Helsingborg, I had everyone coming over. I mean, I was literally in the same room playing as the guys who were fighting the war. So everyone was just waiting for me to fuck up and for me to join the other side. But I actually managed to stay out of it. And it's because, contrary to Kittel and Elland, I did not have a connection to the Germans, Zamp. I never really got along with them.
Me, Claxton, and Coronius went to the same school, same class. After the war ended, or after the deletion, the only way to get free, I was in discussions with the leaders of the Alliance, and they gave like conditions. Okay, you have to give your recovery key to us to get free, and you have to pay this and that. I couldn't do that, and I told Hellraiser that, and he invited me back to the Black Dragons. And then there
was actually invited me too to Black Dragons.
Yeah, yes. And then there was negotiation. There he concluded that, okay, so these guys are not hunted anymore and you have to exclude them from your blacklist. That was more or less the conclusion of a long conversation. Hellraiser helped us more or less out for free and invited us back to the Black Dragons. But there was some conditions inside of the Black Dragons, Kittel. I guess you remember us being in the mines for quite some time.
Yeah,
So
it took some time.
Yeah, we had to collect loot in mines to pay off an internal debt to Hellraiser. He had a very, very good reputation. Everyone was more or less afraid of him. Hellraiser also had very good connections with the people in Germany, the GMs and so on. We had like weekly meetings at the guild hall, and they give information about different peoples and where we were going with the Black Dragons Guild. So it was kind of nice to be part of that community. There was some guy in between, but then I took
it
over.
was the TRP guy.
But it was in that time that we got to know each other better, you and me, Kittel, and Martin as well. We hunted demons together. We did first sorcerer annihilation quest and so on.
Oh, epic.
At my place.
Yeah.
We were always close to each other level-wise.
And then we had like at least top 10 magic level in the whole game.
Yeah.
I was a little bit older, or I am a little bit older than the others, so I had moved out. I had my own apartment. So
by this time, we pretty much spent all the weekends together. I mean, this was what we were doing.
I still remember the smell.
Jesus, the white ghosts, they called us on the streets. What happens is that you had this, what I call the ancient leadership of the Rising Phoenix, which were real life friends. And they had all grown out of the game and they had moved on. And like I said, why this is tied to the LAH war is because when they were looking for someone who was extremely active, they lost all their big players back then. So there were not that many candidates left for them. So more and more Debo and Wayun started saying, okay, you know the bad guys, you know the good guys, so you're going to be in charge of the diplomacy. But what happened after that is that they went completely inactive. So I was left there with no one, there was no one else to decide anything. So I started recruiting friends. I started trying to build up the Rising Phoenix again. During this period, there's a lot of tension because we have a lot of new players come in, and the Mexicans, the Tampico guys, and all these, we were always arguing about everything, at spawns, at everything. We were never getting along. And I think what had kept everything in place politically prior to this is that like there was a lot of people mixed up in alliance guilds and in Black Dragons. Look at players like Joffa, a typical example of a Black Dragons mage, but who had close connection to the mercenaries and who would never really...
He was close to Cyrus as well.
Yeah. They were real life friends.
When all these guys that kept everything in place started going inactive with all these old connections and everything, well, there was just this new, so to say, generation of players. And we had no diplomacy going on with these guys. We didn't have a second character in the Mercenaries or in the Red Rose and all this stuff that they were all entangled before. And that is what prevented the big war from breaking out. But now all these players, they were inactive. And so there was just us left. So by this time, the tension has risen between the Alliance and the TRP. And I think everyone went through that frustration, because if you were clearly hanging out with us or being a part of something, you could feel it on every level, on the hunting grounds. Like I said, back then I was a diplomat of the Rising Phoenix. So I was the guy people contacted if there was a problem. And I received more and more messages every day like, hi, there's a level 100 a knight here from the Rising Phoenix who doesn't want to pay for his entrance here. It's like, yeah, but he doesn't even know who you guys are. So I think there's this people trying to hold on to an old world, old rules, and this new wave of high levels and power that were just wanted to crush it and just weren't willing to follow any of these rules.
We old guys, we did constructive things like organize TBR ball, marriages, parcel castles, at least in the old time. So people played for fun and did some constructive things like playing together and do some stuff. And my feeling is the new players, they didn't do this. At least not constructive. They just wanted to have fun with their group.
I think what triggered most thing, it was this feeling of hypocrisy from the Alliance. They were always playing the good guys, but they had all the rules, the laws, and everything, and they were pretty abusive against the previous Last Action Hero members. You know, they, even though they had paid, even though they were out of this thing, just like they were still somehow in chains, and they still owed something to these guys.
Yeah, we couldn't start trouble, so if they came and wanted to take our spot from hunting, they actually tried to. Many times.
Even if you weren't into it in the beginning, we treated each other so badly that you quickly started to hate, and you got fed from the guild channel and everything. You know, I mean, there was a culture. You didn't want to hang out with those guys. Those guys were losers. So I think once you were in it, you started to feel it very quickly. We hated those people passionately. I mean,
actually, Dawg.
Yeah,
Dawg was the main target for many years.
Yeah, I think everyone felt there was another war coming. I think they were starting to feel bold. As I recall, it was never easy to talk to them. Most of the time, they couldn't admit what they did, or if they admitted, they didn't care about the consequences. So, was it difficult to talk to them? Not really. If you were talking to them, they will answer. But they were not flexible at all. I did this, so what? Was basically the usual answer.
Much easier to level mages at that point, because they introduced better mana regeneration. If you had a little bit cash, you could push your magic level and your sorcerers mostly, because you had ultimate explosion.
Let's be honest. More or less, the game was like, if you wanted to have fun hunting, blah, 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 you probably could do an Elite Knight or a Royal Paladin. Exactly. If you wanted to be more peaceful, blah, 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 you probably could go for a Druid. And if you wanted to, be powerful, and at this point, as Dawg said, you could make your sorcerer really powerful in a very much shorter time, then you could go for a sorcerer. So if you see that in the ranks of those guilds, they suddenly had very strong sorcerers, and a lot of them, much more than before. You knew something was coming.
You don't level you mage just to have a happy hunting time.
So I wanted some firepower. I wanted to, and we had to start recruiting this new Swedish wave of players. We had a lot of players joining in. It was a period where, like, from being super hard to join one of these guilds, it had never been easier to join the Rising Phoenix or Black Dragons back then, because everyone was just desperately looking for firepower. So we had invited a lot of new members, which one of them were Night Fang and Magus. As soon as Night Fang had joined the guild, he started to get cocky again.
Yeah. So, we were pushing around a bag with a letter inside. And they said in the letter that you were killed for thieving my fake loot bag. So if someone came along and took the bag,
there were a lot of reports of him attacking people, and everyone was contacting me like, "Oh, I got attacked by him. But everyone was just so done with the diplomacy. Everyone just wanted to nuke each other. So.
Don't you remember? Diplomacy for the weak. Bloodshed is the only solution.
Yeah. Night Fang was a loose cannon. He was. Sorry, Kito, you were. But Magus was even worse. He was a lot more temper. And I think, to be honest, the day I went into the site and invited them to the Rising Phoenix, I knew it couldn't end well. So I think, even though we believed in diplomacy, I think we wanted that war.
After months of friction, the inevitable happened. The mercenaries, on behalf of the Alliance, stepped forward with a public ultimatum.
The Alliance decided that Night Fang and Magius will enter the Black Book in 7 days, since we consider the treaty that was signed after the LAH war as broken. The Alliance does in no way plan to announce a war against TRP in case of them keeping both in their guild. If we are not attacked by TRP, we have no issue with them.
The mention of the alliance was surprising, considering it had already been dissolved a whole year ago. Since then, the old guilds had mostly gone their separate ways, and many of their best players were not as active as they used to be. Many questioned if the alliance was merely using its former glory as a bluff to intimidate its enemies. Yet, undeterred by warnings from both the Black Dragons and the Rising Phoenix, the Alliance stood by its ultimatum and officially reformed several days later. In response to the formation of the Alliance, the Rising Phoenix united with both the cult of the Black Prophecy and the Black Dragons under a single banner.
I remember when this all started, there was this large meeting at the guild hall at the Black Dragons. And I remember Hellraiser, he was already by then kind of retired. And I remember him saying that this would have happened one way or another. And it was up to the guild to decide if we wanted to join the upcoming war. We wanted a change. We wanted to be in control of the world. We felt strong and we wanted a change. And we didn't want what we had now.
And this is the moment where we sit down, and by this time, the ancient leaders, Hellraiser, Wei Yun, and all these people are pretty much inactive, so we're waiting for their response. And I remember Wei Yun sending me a message that, okay, we want to be in control of this. It's better to start the war with a win. And at that time, when he says that, I received, because weirdly, Lancor, he liked me, I don't know why. Not after what happened next, but he sent me, hi, you want to go down to Demons? And I still feel bad about it. And that's when we started setting up the first hit.
With the hit on Lancor, Alliance formally declared war on the dark side. Yet in practice, no alliance assembled at all.
The first weeks of the war, Alliance wasn't doing anything. We were just running around killing like single kills to the right, to the left. We had like 9-0 or something, and nothing was happening.
We didn't have the momentum. I think at the beginning of the war, we weren't really that ready to fight. So some people just went hunting alone and got picked off by the dark side.
When the Second War happened, I was one of the leaders of the followers of the White Dragon, but I was not an Alliance leader. For the first 3 days of the war, the Alliance was ordered to stay in protected zone by the Alliance leaders. We weren't allowed by our leaders to fight back or even leave visit. Day after day, less and less Alliance logged in. That war at the beginning was lost before it truly started. The Alliance leaders left us alone in my eyes. No orders, no tactics, no counterattacks, nothing, just protected zone time.
You have to understand that for some people that were, let's say, war leaders on the La War, a lot of people were burned out of leading those fights, etc. You have to think that not many of us wanted to have that very high role again.
The Kivorian went, I think he took a long break at some point, so FED was weakened quite a bit.
The dark side got away with murder, confirming their suspicions that the Alliance was no longer able to back up its threats. Unbeknownst to them, though, their actions were awakening a sleeping giant.
It was a Friday, I remember that, 3 days after the war officially started. And I said, enough. If the Alliance leaders do not lead us, I will. That night, in the Alliance channel, I said that it was enough, that we will fight even against direct orders, and that the only way to win is to fight. Truly, I was not expecting too many people to be there that morning, and I didn't really have a plan except to see who really wanted to fight this war. But a lot of people came online, and they wanted to fight. And since I was the one that decided to go against the orders and told everyone to fight, they expected me to lead them, and I did. I died fighting that morning too, but it was worth it.
After losing its commander, Team 1 retreated to the crossroads of Theus, where it was met with the support from Thorin Eichenschild's team.
It was our first victory.
Following a brief standoff, a group of Alliance soldiers circled the city to flank the dark side. A massacre ensued. After answering the dark side's challenge with a crushing victory, the Alliance continued to overpower its opponents in several large-scale battles.
To be honest, now, we got shocked when they actually organized and started killing us. Also remember, we're kids, so the morale of the people, like, it falls in seconds. Like, one guy dies, like, guys log in and write in the chat, in the guild chat, like, oh, how's it going? Oh, blah, 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 died this morning, and people would be all depressed and not log in for a week.
Yeah, when you sit in like on Ventrilo, someone died and you ask them to come back and they just disconnected. There are people that died once and didn't come back for like days. Because if you're 100 people the first day, you might be only 50 the second.
And I think we quickly realized that, shit, they have more people than we expected active, and they're very much more organized than we thought they were. after the first fight, everything went to shit. And we had weeks, maybe months. We would just hang out in this area to the west of the depot in Thais where only mages could enter. And we're talking like, is this war lost? And people were not motivated. People didn't know what to do. Alliance, I think we had this webpage to see online. You could see like Alliance 42, Dark Side 4. And you're like, Jesus, what are we going to do?
And I also remember this kind of early conversation because we knew by then that the mages were the core team in the war.
So that's when the Citadelica and everything really came to an essence. In the sense, we're like, okay, now we're going to start using our mages. We were going to gather up there and do like small hits at night, at day, killing one person and run away.
The war between Darkside and the Alliance left no player in Antica untouched. Tibia's high-score players risked their hard-earned levels on the front line, while friendships were both formed and broken over allegiances or a lack thereof. That the war was in large part a clash of generations is evident in the guild ranks, with the Alliance predominantly featuring knights and paladins. Mages, having only recently become a more useful choice, would become more prominent within the Darkside's ranks as the months progressed. Such statistics, rumors, and heated discussions dominated the forums, which, alongside a dedicated website, served as the primary means for players from Antica and beyond to keep up with their favorite war heroes.
A lot of people went to the same schools, so there was a lot of talk during the breaks, and I mean, we even fought battles in school, because I remember one specifically moment. It was a guy called Avelin, a paladin, level 90. I remember him coming into the classroom a little bit late, and the teacher go like, "Oh, where have you been? I'm sorry, I'm late. And then he just looks at us, like, because I was in the same class as Magius, Nomoxu, and quite some other people, and he just looks at us and just like, there's a battle. There's a battle. And we knew. It was like, you would just see everyone just like, excuse me, I have to go to the toilet. Everyone would just walk out of the classroom just because someone was locked for 20 minutes for killing someone, and we would just log into the school computers and kill this person.
On the battlefield, the light-hearted attitude that characterized much of Antica's previous conflict seemed to be a thing of the past. The Alliance knew it was fighting for its very right to exist, while Darkside pursued relentless revenge against their oppressors. This year, there was no convention for enemies to share a laugh. The disconnect had never been greater. 2 months passed, and neither side showed any signs of backing down. Mages from the dark side brought devastating firepower to ambushes and smaller skirmishes, though the open battles, and seemingly the war thus far, had largely been in favor of the Alliance.
Darkseid followed many aliens to the World Tower. I told everyone at World Tower to log out and log in with secondary characters. I told the remaining aliens outside of World Tower to log in one by one and log out as close as the World Tower as possible. After a few hours, I ordered everyone to log in with the main character, exit the tower, and attack their sword. I gave exactly that order: go for the sorcerers. They lost a lot of firepower. They were unable to attack back. We killed lots of Darkseid that day, and we suffered very few losses. When we were able to to think and to coordinate, we usually won.
Three weeks after their loss at Wolf Tower, Darkside set their sights on Lord Xavi, one of the Alliance's battle leaders. Although the Alliance did not appear to be online in full force, it was uncertain how many reinforcements would log in once Darkside initiated their attack.
Basically, we were checking who was online from the enemy. The enemy probably was checking who was online of us. We were assessing that 24/7. And then we started to do, both sides, these massive logging things. So obviously we were both playing that game.
To intercept Alliance reinforcements, Darkside strategically placed the majority of their mages at Ankramun's boat and logged off to remain undetected. 3 members would then proceed to trap and eliminate Lord Xavi before the Alliance could reach them inside the Dragon Lair.
The idea was that Xanadu was going to get the kill, or I was going to get the kill, and just run around in the desert for 20 minutes, because they couldn't catch up with Xanadu if he was running with haste.
Only a few Darksides come and started attacking me. When I tried to exit the cave, I was effectively trapped there. I put myself in a position where a lot of people weren't able to attack me, so I could survive as much as I can. And I thought, really, that the Alliance could come and kill them. I called in the channel for help, but a lot of Darkside logged in.
The key thing of this war is that people pretended not being online, but at the very second Xanadu fires that first bolt, I think, like, boom, there's like 30 from each side logging in. They log in, we log in, and then you just find yourself in a position no one had anticipated. And we're just like in panic trying to calculate, okay, who's online, who's online, who's online, who's online, and trying to make some like quick assembly of information to know, is it worth attacking?
Yeah, because we never planned a big battle, because we never won a big battle. We were so few.
Once the Alliance logged in at full force, they broke through the Darkside blockade sooner than expected, effectively trapping Lord Xavi's attackers.
I remember the panic, which actually became our advantage, is that I remember Elland and all these other fire powers, we were yelling like, we need you guys here, we need you guys here. And you could see Big Daddy, Dawg, or everyone just standing there blocking, and I felt like, shit, we're trapped in here. And as a mage, and you have Dawg blocking your way out of a small, confined space, you don't feel right.
With their initial plan disrupted, the Darkside had a split second to decide whether to cut their losses or face the Alliance head-on inside the Dragon Lair. They chose the latter.
This is a very decisive moment. I had talked to Kittel and Elland and the others about piping darkness and shooting when the word disappears. I think the Ankramun battle is the moment where everything turns around for us. Because the moment we started using the darkness or the dot, people started dying because they couldn't anticipate, they couldn't heal when 17 sudden death runes hit them at once. I remember like the adrenaline when we realized that if we all shoot when the darkness disappears, no one survives. And we just started ticking them off one by one.
Your confidence grew for every time you kill someone. We had the upper hand because we could go up and recharge. If we were nearly killed, we could just take one step back and go up from our ramp
Yeah,
They were trapped inside the mountain.
Another cold and lonely rainy day comes to an end. I have to clear my mind before I sleep, or else I tend to close my eyes and realize there's nothing there but light. I need shadow, I need darkness to help me through the night.
We had a lot of power per square meter, so to say. There was not much room. Their numbers didn't matter. It went from numbers to power.
The dark side. The dark side.
The start was really not ideal for us. We didn't have coordination and preparation. It just was chaotic, so yeah, we lost this one.
The dark side. The dark side.
Like I said, we were young, so we were super easily affected by how things were going. So now everyone was motivated. Everyone was online. All of a sudden, it was 80 Darkside members online, and it was just a highway from there.
The war was very long and exhausting for us. And with time, people died, they lost levels, they lost motivation, and by the end of the war, we were less people online. We were less alliance to fight. So by the end of the war, we started to lose more than at the beginning.
From my perspective, the account sharing and using of automation tools is really what was at that time for a long time a root problem in Tibia, causing problems for many players who didn't share accounts, so who played normally. So this should have been handled by some detection tools by Sipsoft themselves, but they really took a long time before we actually did something against it.
They didn't do it, I guess, because once you do it for the first time, then you have to do a lot of times because a lot of people were sharing.
Yeah.
While Darkside was celebrating its recent victories, something strange was observed in a video of the Ankramun battle. Debo, a German character, was talking Swedish.
Okay.
What's the main reason for all our deletion?
I don't know what you should publish. I'll tell you the entire truth, okay? The truth as it is. When the war starts, Debo tells me she can't fight because she's not a fighter. She doesn't have the time because by this time, these people are not active anymore. I get access to Debo, and I need to control Zoo at the same time, but I don't want someone controlling. So I set up a second computer in my home, and I have a guy called Philip playing when I need more firepower. Because, Lith was never online a single second in this war. I played every minute on Lith in this war too. Because I killed too many people with Zoo that he gave me access to the character Lith. I didn't feel comfortable playing Debo, so I think that was I didn't play her. I was once on that character, and it just happened to be a very decisive moment in the war. But otherwise, I would spend all my time on Sue and Lith. So I am on Debo at that moment.
And that battle was when you guys at my house. So I had a German character at my house in Sweden.
The truth is, we can admit this, is that we realized the power of logging in at once. So it is true, and I don't mind sharing this, that we had at some point in the middle of the night to avoid having Alliance people hunting. And it was not even about them getting experience points. It was about not having their morale go up and feeling like they could hunt. We would give access to our accounts, not so that people would play on our characters, but so that if Half-High went hunting in the middle of the night, Nightfang, Proxy, Sue, Lit, everyone could just log in a second. And even though there was just one person behind the move, we would scare the shit out of that person, and that person would run and hide.
I talked with them, with Magius and a few more, almost daily. I never insulted or was hard of them, but sometimes they were with me. That allowed me to gain their trust and to observe some patterns. In some instances, they told me things like, wait, I will change chart and continue talking. That's why I knew about their account sharing. They told me themselves. I infiltrate space in their guild. They provide me with screenshots and logs from their forums and conversation. That's why I discovered more things and gathered proofs. It was me who contacted Tipshop and a few game masters. I told them they were doing account sharing and provided all proofs I had.
I woke up, someone from the Alliance called my home, Oxgerd, which is, listen to this, Oxgerd is Magius' real-life brother. And he was a member of the Alliance, and he passionately hated us too. And I receive a call in the morning, and it's so sad that it's actually someone from the Alliance calling me. He's like, how do you feel? And I'm like, what? I don't know. How am I supposed to feel? What are you talking about? Shit. That was the first feeling. Shit, I just got deleted. But then when I also saw that all the characters I had access to were deleted too, Lith, Debo, all these characters were deleted, then I felt like shit.
And I remember I didn't go to school. The thing is, I had a lot of items too. I was pretty rich in the game. So I went to my Kormaya house with my second character just to make sure to empty it. And there was Guido emptying my house.
What? I didn't know that.
Yeah, taking all my items out, and I was standing outside, couldn't go in.
Information. Just a few minutes, I have banished 16 accounts of high-level players on Antica due to account sharing in massive forms. Most of them will be deleted in 2 days. Again, I can only repeat. If you cheat, you will be the next to follow them.
The deletion of some of their best fighters left the dark side crippled. Peace negotiations began a few weeks later, marking the first time in 5 months that both sides honored a temporary truce. However, when the last remaining Citadelica was also deleted, the dark side bitterly retracted from the negotiations.
I actually never shared my account, but I had access to this night to Cheeto. But my account was actually never shared. But I got deleted for account sharing. And it was really not me that used it to cheat, if I remember correctly. I had this friend was at my house, kind of like you, and I lent him the character. So he played to Cheeto and blocked demons for me. So I wasn't actually the one using Cheeto either.
Prior to the wave of deletions, there had been several signs that Cipsoft was intensifying their efforts against account sharing. The punishment of cheaters was met with praise by many, yet some criticized the company for selectively picking their targets. There were, for example, no repercussions after it was revealed that the character which Lord Xavi used to infiltrate the dark side was also shared. Furthermore, earlier that year, Tibia's highest level player had only received a 15-day banishment for briefly sharing his account with his girlfriend.
To this day, we don't know. Yes, account sharing in that, yes, but everyone was doing it.
Yeah.
Everyone, we knew everyone was doing it. And look at the case with Proxy, because Proxy, Elland was less trustful than we are, and he was right about that. Proxy never gave his account information out. I've never been online on that character, and he got deleted just like that too. So it was clearly political. I mean, I'm not saying there wasn't reasons, but if you take a screenshot of an important battle and you point out the 16 most important accounts, they would be those accounts. I think they were setting an example. I'm not saying we were innocent, but I'm just saying we were not the only guilty ones.
Many of the leaderships of, for example, Red Roses or Meg, they knew the new Sipsoft in real life. They've been joining conventions together for a number of years. Now, from that fact, that truth, to conclude on the other side that this kind of connection was abused, that's a different story. I'm not saying no, because at the end of the day, I cannot put my hand on fire around that. But it's probably not so much abused as to have the chance to inform Sipsoft of a situation. Doesn't mean you abuse it. It means you have the connection. You have a direct line with them, let's say. I'm pretty sure no one was deleted without a reason. Now, another question is that if people from that side would be here, well, but this person should have been deleted. Maybe. I'm not saying no. I know a lot of people that were duping items, for example, and then were on the sides of the Alliance. I've never done it. I wish I knew how to do it. As I said before, it's really difficult, as in real life, to get rich without doing some dirty stuff. It's really, really difficult.
Yeah, if I knew how to dupe items, I still wouldn't do it, because I think it's not right to do it. So Sipsoft should have done something about it earlier, because it's of course destructive to the economy. In my guild, we have a strict policy, no account sharing at all, so no excuses. I'm not 100% sure, but I think most members or all members follow this rule. Yeah. In some Alliance members, at least those that knew each other in real life too, I guess they could have logged in for each other, at least some persons. I'm quite sure.
Members of the Alliance generally took great pride in their commitment to justice, with their ranks even including counselors and game masters who were bound to it by obligation. Even if a game master did not directly cheat himself, it would be considered unethical for him to turn a blind eye to a friend who did. Behind closed doors, the mercenaries ran into precisely such a predicament.
I've never spoken about this with anyone else but my closest friends in Tibia, just to keep the merc's name a little bit cleaner, but it's not that clean. I'm gonna say first with a very short sentence. The main reason, if not the only one, why I was kicked out of the mercs is because of the sharing situation. But now in your minds, you're thinking Tharkas was sharing. No, there was another person in the mercs sharing. I was against it, and I fought against that. I was putting them in a situation in which I said, well, you have to choose between this person that is sharing, not becoming a leader of the mercs or me. It's either him or me. I think that a leader of the mercs should never be an account that is shared. And the old leadership said, okay, goodbye, Sarkas. That was the end of my 5 years in the mercs. Kicked with this owner, basically. I was so pissed off after what happened with me and the mercs. Just so you get an idea, I didn't play any other game in which the main thing was player versus player again. When I was kicked out of the mercs, 35 mercenaries left the guild with me. That was a huge number of people.
In spite of their loss, Darkside waged war for nearly 3 more months, though they were largely unable to continue their winning streak.
We had no mages left, so we had to think of a second plan. And I remember I was very sad writing like this kind of articles on the Tibia forum for you guys, and I didn't really know what to do. But we tried to hold back, and we tried some fights after that, but it was not that successful anymore. So the peace negotiation began. And I guess the main purpose was to go back to the war at the end.
After half a year of warfare, both parties settled for peace. The Alliance let their enemies go with none of the obligations that characterized the last Action Heroes War, despite knowing that they would inevitably return.
We were everyone very burned out of the war. It was very intense, very emotional, draining. Everyone wanted that war to end. So I think this time the war just ended without any hard condition in any side. Even we know that they will just come after time.
Yeah, we were kind of warned because most of us wanted to play for fun and not killing other guys, but just like hunting and talking and selling stuff and such things, which we really most of the time couldn't do, and we really cared for the game. We didn't really want the war, but it was at some kind, I think, inevitable.
Let me tell you about my favorite game of all time. The game I wasted my teenage years on, where I should have been out. Tibia 7.6, baby.
Wirtualny narkotyk. Tak to opisać można najkrócej, bo ci, co grają w Tibię, potrafią całymi dniami wyłączać się z rzeczywistości.
For another year, Antica remained free of war, but it was clear that the server had grown beyond the Alliance's control. While most Alliance players finally slowed down their competitive pursuits, Tibia approached its peak in popularity, flooding Antica with a wave of new players oblivious to its history. Nevertheless, old grudges were not so easily forgotten.
I started Trinity. And Debo was actually the one who financed the entire character. Because that was the crazy part. When I started Trinity after the war, people would try to kill me. Turin Eichenscheidt and all these guys. And Hesperides, who was very neutral, I had been talking to him a little bit during the war, and he thought it was unfair because he was very much for the role-playing part, and he was really angry about Alliance killing me over and over again. So he invited me to Satori and adopted me as an in-game son. So Hesperides, with Hesperides' power and influence and Debo's money, is how that character was born. And I actually feel when I think about that, I feel bad about it, because what Trinity then became, because at 135, I gave the character to Magus. I betrayed a lot of people's trust, and Trinity became not at all what he was supposed to become. You know, Hesperides had hoped that I would become a diplomat like with Sue at some point and become a good character in the game, and he just became a killing machine.
After a year of gathering strength, the dark side re-emerged to finish what they started. Although the Alliance formed once more, they struggled with insufficient leadership and manpower, preventing them from securing any major victories.
We weren't that strong at the beginning of the war, but it was we had more firepower, and the guys from Alliance was not that active as you say, so we had the upper hand.
There was an influx of new players. There was a lot of a new generation of young, hungry players from the dark side. So you had this phasing out of the old generation, Alliance members being more and more inactive, and you had all these young, hungry players that were all on the dark side. So I think in a year, you had a complete switch in the balance between things, and that's also when they realized that they couldn't keep up with this power gaming culture. We had finally won, in a sense.
The second war for me was very exhausting. I was playing a lot of hours each day, organizing attacks and counterattacks. It was too much responsibility and it burned me out at the end. And when the third war came, I just didn't have the energy to continue playing and left the game.
Inevitably, heavy losses would force the Alliance guilds to surrender, but not before giving Tibia's new generation a glimpse of a giant from a bygone era. After buying his soldiers enough time to log out, Dagor Dragontooth proceeded to stand his ground for 4 hours.
Our enemies, they shared accounts, and we suspected they also used botting tools or something, and we didn't want to. So we were in the defensive side. So it was also not, in the long run at least, not a fair fight. If we would want to continue, at least having a chance in the war, we would need some high-level mages who want just to fight and have fun fighting, yeah. And we didn't have those kind. We mostly had paladins, knights, who enjoyed mostly hunting. You know, there's an age difference. If you study at some point, you are finished and have other priorities. Maybe you still care for the game and want to play now and then, but you don't have as many time as you used to have. So I think this was part of it.
At the end, they just gave up because they felt like, okay, they cannot compete with us anymore. And some of us began to feel sorry for some of them. And some of them had relations with a few of them as well. So we felt that, okay, now it's maybe time to end this. There were still some people that did not want to end this, but at the end we did have negotiations and agreed to a deal.
For better or for worse, the Alliance is defeated. It will be the end of the old times and the end of the old guilds. Dark side will rule, for now. But nothing is forever, remember that. Sooner or later, they will become what the Alliance became. Old, big, slow. And then they will find their own dark side to fight them.
In the wake of their defeat, the followers of the White Dragon were effectively forced to cease their existence as an active guild. The rest of the Alliance guilds were allowed to buy their freedom on the condition that they exiled a select few players who remained permanently hunted by the dark side. With no option to pay out, Dagor Dragontooth also remained hunted.
At some point, I didn't have any more time for the game because of real life. And Tibia really took a lot of time. Don't know how many hours I spent in Tibia, probably too much. And it was also a lot of fun. I met a lot of good guys.
I had a lot of fun. I can't imagine anything else, waking up in the morning, before going to school, you were you're logging in, checking your friends list.
And not many people get to experience that kind of thing. And it's weird because we're talking about a game online and we were just kids, but damn, we were so devoted. I was 13, 14 years old and I was a diplomat for the Rising Phoenix. And I would find myself writing essays to protect members and learn how to keep everyone in line.
I work myself as a leader today at the company, and I usually say at leadership conferences and stuff like that, actually my leadership career was starting with a computer game because I learned so much about negotiation and writing and trying to understand different sides.
You gotta give it to Dogger. He was consistent. He kept that role. I mean, in every war, he was the hate object of everyone, which makes him a great leader for the enemies in the sense where, like, God, we hated that guy.
You don't hate the bad guy, someone that can't play the game.
No, exactly. He was good and he was super powerful and
the funny thing is that's something you admit now. Back then, you would never say anything like that.
Never.
You would say he sucks.
Yeah, he was good. Gotta admit it, he was good. I guess he says the same thing about us. Damn, they were good.
Maybe. I'm not sure he says that though.
With their formal surrender, the Alliance stepped down from more than 5 years of world politics, though many of its guilds continued to enjoy the world, which they once ruled. Following the Alliance's defeat, a guild by the name of Sick and Twisted branched out from the dark side. The two guilds joined forces with the Black Dragons to fight a new adversary known as the Ruthless Hordes, a guild which was not only joined by several players of the Alliance, but also the Rising Phoenix, pitting old allies against one another. The last action heroes challenge to the established order ignited a tradition that would be central to PvP servers for the next 20 years. Modern guilds, however, would not fight with the same apprehension that the Alliance once had. War had become a goal in itself.
When we were young, the future was so bright. The old neighborhood was so alive. And every kid on the whole damn street was gonna make it big and not repeat. Now the neighborhood's cracked and torn. The kids are grown up, but their lives are worn. How can one little street swallow so many lives? Chance is gone, nothing's free. Longing for used to be.
Everybody's favorite rat returns. Last time, I took on Zulrah and got insanely lucky over at Barrows, ending up with a graceful task. So to start things off, I gotta go train some agility. Say hello to my new Ironman, where I'll be taking on RuneScape one random task at a time. How far can we go? Enjoy. Back to the Seer's course. I am 66 agility at the start. I need 40 marks of grace for these graceful boots. I'd be happy with 68 agility. That'd be nice. Closer to 70. Let's get her done. Boom. 67. I don't even know what that shortcut is. Probably will never use it. Okay, if this is red, the task is over. It's not. Okay. Oh, never mind. There it is. This is the most perfect timing I think I've ever done in my life, and I fell. You fuck! All right, let's try this again. Oh, we made it. We cleared the hardest thing in the game. All right, 40 marks and 68 agility at the exact same time with 500 total laps. What the heck? It all happened at the same lap. That's crazy. All right, done. That was a little over 2.5 hours, going on 3 hours, so not too bad. It would have been quicker if I just did Canifis. What am I trying to click right now? It would have been quicker, but I've said it before. I like the extra agility XP. We got 2 full levels here, and that is beautiful. 108,000 XP gained. Hello, Grace again. We're going to buy the boots, and that is 4 out of 6. Oh, and whoa, that's right. The new collection log stuff came out. Again, this really shows how late this video is coming out. My bad. Anyway, 300 collection logs. Nice. Iron rank. Let's go to the museum. I'm curious. I haven't even checked this out on like my main Iron, who has like almost 1,000 slots. I've kind of just ignored the update entirely. And at the end of the day, I think honestly, if I get far in this account, this little rat dude is gonna have more logs than Nooble Dooble at some point, because I'm just doing so much random shit. Yo, we got the bronze collection staff, the bozo staff. I mean, now we have iron. Yo, I love it. Big fan. I think it looks really cool. When I get like to the later tiers, I think I'd be fine with showing it off. I wonder if you can like put this in your house, but yeah, I need to save bank space, so that is going to the ground for now. Show me Aberrant Specters. I'll take it. I mean, diaries are always good, I think, at this stage, because you never know what you're gonna unlock. Do I unlock any quests? Any skill grinds? Eagle's Peak! That is good. Yes! I actually wanted that before I did more Hunter rumors. I can now do Chinchampas, alright? That's actually great because it'll just be nice to have like some Chinchampas on the account. You never know when those will be useful. Ooh, I get to do Between a Rock. That's a good quest for XP. Let's get on it. Let's do Eagle's Peak first. You know, one of RuneScape's greatest mysteries is how this passes as a bird disguise. I mean, they have eyes. Why aren't they using them? All that for a ferret. And there we are. Box traps unlocked. Next up, Between a Rock. May as well go finish it. Oh, it requires fishing contest. Yes, that's actually great. Hold on. Not like the most important quest in the world, but it actually unlocks a pretty interestingly useful location for me. You unlock this White Wolf tunnel down here, like under the mountain, and there's like a bar with dwarves and stuff. There's a gnome down there for the gnome restaurant, and I still need to get those items. So now that I'll have that done, I can actually get that delivery, which will make finishing up this log a little bit easier. Oh, I just forgot how quick this is. Like 3 minutes. This helmet is not doing me any favors. Ew. Oh, there's the medium diary that we were looking for. Once we get the boss down, we can go finish the rest. Done. Thank you for the XP. Oh, I get a rune pick out of that too? 20k. And for the last diary step, I need to go through the entire Waterbirth dungeon and come out the other end. It's gonna take so long, but I got some good tank gear. We're good. I just don't have any energy, so I'm probably gonna have to walk the whole way. Damn it. So I know I couldn't do the shortcut atop the mountain. I think that's 85. Can I do this one? I don't remember the level for this, because, you know, when this came out... Okay, well, it's orange, so probably can't. 81? Eat my ass. But yeah, I'm just so used to being maxed, like, on my other account, so it's just so weird seeing these requirements. When you've been at the top for so long, it's scary at the bottom. I've made it. Our first medium complete. Let's put that onto Herblore. We actually are starting to get good lamps. They're not 2,500, 7,500. So much free XP. Anyway, I get absolutely nothing from this diary. Nothing important. Ooh, Tazars. Yes, get to go back. I've actually been kind of fiending to do another, like, AFK range grind. I feel like anytime I've been doing combat, it has not been that. I know I used to complain earlier in the series how I was just getting tired of it, but it's been a bit. I've had my break. I unfortunately don't have the fire cape yet, so I can't go into the inner city just yet and start farming the obsidian armor, but we can go back and hunt the Kets and the Zills. I think we're going to commit to the Kets this time, because I am getting close to doing Moon's Apparel, and either of these items would be very, very beneficial. So if we just do Kets, we're going to be guaranteed to get one of these two. Honestly, the shield would probably be the best. Pretty sure it beats the defenders because of the extra defense, and you still get the strength bonus. So yeah, let's hope for that. And it doesn't even take that long to get there anymore. We could use the fairy ring. I guess that reminds me, I could have just used the fight pit telly. I did get a lot of comments about why I wasn't using this. I'm going to be real with you. I forgot it existed. My bad. My brain can only pack so much information, and trust me, it's very small. All right, this is our first time ranging since getting the boots. I look so good. It's crazy. I'm slowly starting to look like a normal player until you see my cape. Yeah, ignore that. Yes, my dream came true. Got the shield. Oh, I don't know how many kills that was. 90k XP. So like 150? I don't know exactly, but nice. Okay, so only one more drop from these smaller Kets. Just the mall left. So if we roll this again, we'll probably just continue on those, and then it'll just be the Zills from then on. That is great. So I did mention it is basically the same strength as the defenders. The Dragon Defender, which I will be getting soon, is slightly better. I think it's one more strength bonus, but like that's really unlikely to give me a max hit. And again, at Moon's Apparel, it's all about that defense. More importantly, that is the task completed. Boom. And I believe that there is 3 more in this tier? Yeah, 3 more. So is that like pretty much everything before the super rare drops? Yeah, it is. We essentially are just going to finish up the basic Tazars, and then when we roll it in the future tiers, we're actually gonna have to get the armor and the super rare staff. I'm not looking forward to that one, man. I think it's like 1 in 4K, but that is hell for another day. 10% medium completed. We are zooming. To be fair, I haven't hit any like really hard tasks yet. Oh, healer hat. Okay. Horrible time for that. It is like 10 p.m. on a weekday. I'm gonna have to set this up for tomorrow, I guess. I hate when I roll this like at a terrible time, because now I just can't play.
24 hours later.
Strange. My last recording said it was corrupted, so hopefully I didn't lose it. Either way, that was the 3rd queen. We had to do a lot today. So like about an hour and a half. Thank you to the boys. We have more than enough points now to buy the healer hat. Boom. Boom. And it is obtained. Which one even is this? Oh, it's the magic one. Yeah, I'm totally going to use that, man. Is that positive mage, negative everything else? What is the point of this? It looks so silly. Oh man, that's funny. Okay, well, there we go. That is the 4th BAI item. We still have, what is that, 5 more rolls, and you know, we're already here. I would not mind a back-to-back. These guys said that they're free tonight, so boom. Give me the torso. Fighter torso would be amazing. Oh, herb sack. Okay, that is a very useful item. I'm excited to finally get this, especially before we get back into Slayer. But that does mean we have to go do some Tithe Farm. It is available from Slayer shops, but on Taskers, you buy it from the Slayer shop if you have the points at that point, which I have nowhere near that. So the actual option is more Tithe Farm. So gonna get some more farming XP. Speaking of, I have not done my contracts in a few days, so let me go do a run of those, and then I'll meet you guys over at the farm. Wow, that was rough. 3.5 hours later, 700 fruit collected. Oh, I'm so ready to be out of here. This is going to be so satisfying, though. Starting at 65. Here we go. Boom. 21k. 21k. Another. It just keeps going. I love it. Oh, it's so good. 68. Wow. We have palm trees. Okay. 3 levels from that. Not too shabby. Getting closer and closer to that 74 for the final fruit. But, you know, closer and closer to magic trees because we do have a couple seeds from Wintertide. It is nice. Like, I feel like we spend so much time on certain collection logs that I have just no uses. Like that healer hat, for example, right? Like, you know, it's not useful at all. It's always nice to get a role where you're gonna use this. I know for a fact the best place to use this is on some of the early Slayer tasks, like Aberrant Specters and Dust Devils. I remember being really, really good. So I'm glad I have it. And yeah, another check off. 11%. What are we doing? It's the weekend. I want to do some PVM. Give me something good. Or that works too, sure. I mean, technically PVM, I get to kill goblins. Damn it. But you know, that's how the account rolls. Pun very much intended. And there are 2 beginners in this tier, so you know, it's inevitable. It was gonna happen anyway. Got our log. It was criminal at the start. It took me like 66 to get my first 3. It was awful. And then we just got bombarded and got 3 more in 15. So very good log so far. We're still at the stage where uniques are fairly common. So I'm not too worried about these 3. I think the next roll is going to be tough. But of course, we haven't done beginners in so long. Let's see how many passes I have banked. Probably 50, if I had to guess. 65. Wow. Most of these are from skilling. You just get a lot of beginners from like all the mining and woodcutting we did. So maybe in these 65, we can get like 2 of the uniques. I'd be happy. If we get all 3, that'd be even better. Here we go. Just start with a black pickaxe. Yeah, sure. Ah, yes. Early. Nice. Sandwich lady in 10 clues. Wait, is that a double cabbage? It rolls 5 to 9. I got a double cabbage. Fuck. And yeah, money is always a struggle on the rat, so I am definitely going to be penny pinching and alching these steel items. Don't hate. Alright. It's what I gotta do. Oh, sandwich lady again. Okay, 2 out of 3. I'm confident. I think we can finish all 3 right now. Dude, passive clues are the best. I love them. It's not looking good. I did not mean to teleport, sir. I rolled law runes and immediately teleported. Oh no, I'm getting scared. Oh no. No, I don't want to kill goblins. Please, please. Yes! The very last one. Oh my god. Holy crap, I just saved myself a day of killing goblins tomorrow. Oh, the Amulet of Defense trimmed. Yes. That had me on the edge of my seat. I'm not going to lie. Killing goblins is like probably the most boring thing on this account. So I'm glad I get to avoid it even more. And hopefully we have some skilling rolls in between this and the next beginner roll. So we don't have to do as much. Also, there is a way we can get a ton of beginner clues. I mean, look at this. I'm telling you right now, I do not want to roll this for a bit because it's ass. But right here, the Hill Giant Club. Yes, it is in the medium tier. Getting all those giant keys, killing all the hill giants, a bunch of obors. Yeah, I'm actually pretty terrified about this one. I think like in this entire tier, this has potential to be like the longest task outside of the Slayer ones because like even with a cannon, this can take like a week. So yeah, I'd rather not do this right now. The longer I wait, the better. Especially if I can like roll a smithing task and make some cannonballs. But sorry, I don't want to talk your guys' head off. But yeah. Obviously, Hill Giants and Obor drop a bunch of beginners. So if I get this one, we're going to bank a lot of passives, and it'll be nice. And I'm pretty sure the Bryophyta essence is in the hard tier, so we don't have to worry about that for a while, thankfully. But anyway, that is our 3 uniques right there. Complete. Yes! Moon's Apparel! It happened! Oh boy, we get to use our Torag's plate body. Oh, that is awesome. That is so awesome. And I'm glad that we have pretty decent stats now. You know, 70 defense. They're not going to be the easiest kills in the world, but I have the stats. I have the really crappy gear. Oh, this is going to be good. And it's a little scary too because Moon's Apparel, right? There's a lot of good items in here, and there's a lot of lackluster ones. I would say pretty much any of the weapons are going to be good. Specifically these boppers. If I can get these, oh my god, I'd be so happy. First things first, though, we got to go do the quest, which we already started. We got to, like, the very end. I think, yeah, we literally just need to do the kills, and then the quest is done. So we're going to go do that, but that is for tomorrow, because it is very, very late. Good morning, and welcome to Operation Save Bank Space. So I forgot that I got some extra construction levels from the last time we did fire making, and with that, we can use the crystal saw and actually build this treasure chest that I was unable to, because it requires 48. So there we go. And this first version can store beginner and easy clue uniques, and I have so many in the bank. I'm going to be saving tons of bank space here. Plop. Nice. I think I saved like 30 slots. I'm at constant war with this being full. I swear to God. Anything helps. I'm confident I am the only person in the history of the game to attempt Moons of Peril with this exact gear setup. It looks so dumb, but it surely will get the job done. Unfortunately, I can't even use my Torax hammers. I did look. They are going to be probably my best at the Blue Moon, just by virtue of them being a double hit weapon. Unfortunately, they're still really bad, but we're going to use the Dragon Mace for the time being. Dragon Scimitar on the other two. This is going to be bad. This is just going to be really, really, really slow. But we'll get the job done. At least, you know, Moons has unlimited supplies. That'll be the best part. So it's 1 in 19 to get anything. Let's try our luck. Hopefully this goes well. Oh, that's right. I get cutscenes because this is my first run. Ah, yes. Start with the ball. And I already failed. Perfect. Okay. Yeah, this is the issue with bad, you know, semi-bad gear. They hit you a lot. So the Eclipse is done. That is probably going to be the longest fight. Just by virtue of him being extremely tanky and I have to use stab. Dragon Sword would be a great upgrade here whenever I do worms. I think Blood Moon will still be the hardest because of the healing mechanic. But yeah, I mean, hey, I can do it. Look at that. We only used a little bit of supplies. The wall has been destroyed. God, that is so bad. Oh, Blood Moon is way worse than I thought it would be. Maybe I should go learn the step under. Yeah. Anyway, that is our first Moons run complete. And yeah, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but yeah, it didn't make sense to me. I didn't think about it. Yeah, I actually don't get to go for any of these uniques. The dart is a unique. You know, as with other content, it's a collection log, and we're probably gonna get a dart here. So this roll is only 1 run, unfortunately, unless we luck out and you know don't get darts. Here we go. I have to talk to the guy for the quest. Never mind. Give me a second. It is done. Who do I talk to? I remember when I did this on my main iron, I could not figure out how to finish this. Yes, return to Yao. Look at this gargantuan amount of XP I just gained. So we went from 58 to 68. 60. That's great because there is Aberrant Specters in this tier, and when I roll that, don't even have to grind it. Lovely. Oh, Basilisk Knights. I cannot wait to hate that grind. Give me the macaronis. Okay, well, I guess we get to do another run. Cool. Get to return to Blood Moon Hell. All right, so we're going to do something fun. We're going to bring full food to Blood Moon, and I'm going to try to use just DSim and get that combat achievement. I might regret that, considering it was so difficult, but if I can walk out of here with a combat achievement, that'd be nice. Ooh, I'm hitting like a truck. Let's go! DSim, go in! I love you! Okay, that was significantly easier than the first one, and we got back to our roots. I made sure to do that, just full Dragon Scimitar the entire time, and it's really funny that was by far my easiest Moons run, and I didn't even do it properly because I was using a DSim the whole time. What's that about? When we actually like have to grind an actual item here, I'm definitely gonna try to focus on trying to get as many of these combat achievements done. There are some just aren't gonna be possible, but that'll be for another day. Let's just get these arrows, darts, whatever you call them. Yep, there you go. The task is done. Ooh, 72 orbs. Okay. That's really good. That's really, really good. Money. I completely forgot about that dart thing, but it is what it is. 12%. Okay, there's still 3 more Moons of Peril rolls. Hopefully, before we roll this again, we get better gear. Maybe another Barrows roll. Maybe the Zombie Axe. Please, not the Fire Cape. I saw it. I saw it. Ooh, okay. This is not RNG, finally. All right, so this is how this works. I go here in the combat ring in Shazian, and we just go from each tier soldier, kill them each 5 times, and get the tier 5 set. So let's lock in. There we go. The full Shazian 5 armor complete. Looking good. So yeah, we're going to be using this over at the Shamans eventually. And another log greened. 332 slots. Oh my. And because, you know, this is 25 new items to be in the bank, yeah, I'm not doing that. So we're gonna build the armor case. I think I didn't have the level when I first made this stuff, so we're gonna make it now. It can store up to 25 different sets of armor, so we're totally fine. We're gonna put all the Shays in it, and I think I have the tier 1 in the bank. We'll put that in there too. So Yeah, no harm done. You know, it's bound to happen. There's a lot in this tier. Our very first last man standing task. Oh, shit. 1 defense peer? Oh, fuck. Okay, we're not talking about these clicks, okay? We're not. I unfortunately rolled my very first last man standing item, which means I gotta go and test my PvP ability, which is 0. This is gonna be rough. Say hello to my new Ironman, where I'll be taking on RuneScape 1 random task at. We'll see. I got no points. That's fantastic. Okay. I think this is a bot because he's trying to melee me right now. So I picked the right target. You know, we picked the right target. I had a feeling this was the bot. No, it's not a bot! I'm sorry! I'm sorry, it's not a bot! Soon. He was typing, that's why he didn't switch his prayer. That's funny. I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. That's so sad. I feel bad now. Oh, nice fight, dude. He beat me. Damn. Good job. All right, that's it. Had some good fights in there. That was fun. It would definitely have been easier if there was more bots. I would say like 80% of the fights were real, but I had fun. Frozen whip mix. There we go. Our first LMS task complete. I'm excited for more. Oh, damn it. Every time I see a diary, I am hoping it's Lumbridge or Falador. This one's all right. Western provinces. There might be a quest in here. Let's see. I think I still have the Chompies because we did 125. Yep, 125. So we already have that because we rolled the hats in the easy tier. So yeah, no grinds either. Damn. As usual, 7,500 Herblore. Boom. And that is a level 63. I'm pretty sure this unlocks another potion. Oh, yeah, super restores. That's not what I meant. It unlocks another potion over at the minigame, Mastering Mixology. So that'll be slightly better next time we go. As for the rewards, I get more Chompies, I guess, when I do that. So that'll be good next time I roll it. And that's about it. Okay, easy peasy. Always nice to just quickly knock out a task like that. 14%. Ooh. We return to Shades of Morton. This one is going to be a good time. Last time we had this, we really lucked out and got the black locks. So we have the black coffin so we can store more shades. We have 5 extra to go use. Do not worry. I have one in the bank. I won't lose it. But now that we have high fire making, I can use the magic pyrologs. And that gives us access to the second highest shade, the fire shades, I believe. So we can start doing silver keys. And that's going to make things just more common. Likely what's going to happen is we're going to get either the fine cloth or the amulet of the damned for this step. They're both like relatively common from silver keys. I think 1 in 9, 1 in 14. So it'll be about 6 or so. Once these are done, these tasks are going to take a lot longer because we're going to have to go for the actual locks, which are much rarer. All right, 3 more chances. Just a load of crap is what it is. Yep, load of crap. Yeah, that should be enough. I just realized we're going to be farming the next tier of shade anyway. No reason to get a full inventory of this. All right, let's try it. 8 remains, 8 pyrologs. How many silver keys are we going to get? Oh, it's an elite task. Okay, 56 prayer, that's right. You do get prayer and fire making. Love to see it. I feel like we got pretty lucky on keys, just like the amount of them. I only rolled coins once. So yeah, we have a lot of black keys to open. We have the 1 silver that I'm going to keep, and we can open one of these. So this is a pretty good chance. We have a good chance to finish it right here. God, I am so happy we went so far on that fire making task. Like, we were only 4 levels away from Redwood Pyrologs. Obviously, I have to get the level for Redwoods, but that is going to be insane for these tasks in the future. Oh, no way. What? That's crazy. They're 1 in 60. That's the wrong RNG, man. Wrong RNG. That's crazy. Okay, well, that's funny, though. Can't be too mad. All right,
Right.
Hey, 42 here. I want you to take a look at this chart. 6, 44, 334. This is today. Then, by 2030, we'll be at 2,537. And only 5 years after that, 19,267. What do you think these numbers represent? If you guess data, then get yourself an ice cream. Because this was an estimate made in 2018 of how the total volume of data created by humankind will increase over the next couple of decades, measured in zettabytes. 1 zettabyte is 1 billion terabytes. This paper overestimated slightly. We currently sit at just over 200 zettabytes instead of 334. But that's still an exponential increase from just 6 zettabytes back in 2015. 1 terabyte is enough data to contain about 1 million books. That means, in just 10 years, humankind has generated brand new data roughly equivalent to 200 quintillion books. That's such a large number that it's difficult to wrap one's head around. But if you were to store all of humanity's data on 1 terabyte 3.5-inch hard drives and stacked them in a tower, it would be 3.16 billion miles tall, or roughly 13,000 times the distance from the Earth to the Moon. This unfathomable amount of data comprises mostly video. Although we don't know the total volume of video that is stored, we do know that anywhere from 70 to 80% of all internet traffic is video data. Think YouTube and TikTok. The rest of the world's data is made up from a mix of photos, text data, such as emails and documents, enterprise data, think customer data and corporate records, and scientific data, although scientific data is thought to only contribute about 1% of total data volume. And it's not like they aren't trying. The Large Hadron Collider produces 200 petabytes of data per year when it's running. So far, storage needs for all of this data have mostly kept up with demand. There are currently over 1,000 hyperscale data centers operating across the planet. A hyperscale data center is a category of enormous data center, housing anywhere from 5,000 to 100,000 servers, usually utilized by the likes of Amazon, Google,